Hello and welcome to another episode of me painting again. Oh yeah, we're painting again. We're going to do a bit of a landscape today, and while I've got my palette up here, I'll just mention what colours I'm using. So I've got some midnight black, which is going to be behind there. It's not there yet. Some Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, sap green, Prussian blue, titanium white, and there's some cad yellow, Indian yellow, and yellow ochre. So they're the colours. Let's have a look. So I'm just tapping my brush to get an even distribution of colour. Before I do any painting, let me mention what's going on here as well. So I've used some black gesso and created a bit of a design here for some trees, a tree, and a tree. And then there's some mountain shapes that you can just about catch here. You can see them, but I have put some liquid white on top of there, and that will help with my sky. And then I put some liquid clear on here and some Prussian blue on here. So when putting the liquid white on here, you can still see the mountain shapes, and you can use the black gesso and paint all kinds of things. And then when you put your liquid white on top of it, it sends it back, gives it a bit of a distant effect, and you can use that. So let's carry on playing this. So using the Prussian blue, a little bit of Prussian blue on the brush. I'm going to put in a nice blue sky. Prussian blue's a nice blue, kind of a natural looking blue to me. I really like Prussian blue. It's one of my favourite blues. So I'm just using little crisscross strokes just to fill this in, lock it in. Start at the top and work down, and then automatically you get a darker blue at the top. I just added a bit more colour. There we go. It's like nice and smooth. Because of the liquid white, it blends easily. And then I use a paper towel to knock off the paint. Just knocking off the paint. You could use a beater rack to do that. This angle shines back a little bit, so I don't use it very often now, especially with the black canvas. So I'm getting a bit of Van Dyke brown, Prussian blue, bit of white. I'm going to make some shadow colour for our clouds. So if you don't know, you probably already know this, but blue and brown makes a grey, and you can make your grey either to the blue side or to the brown side, and it's really useful actually, because you can use it to make black as well, of course, if you don't use any white, and you can obviously make it a bit warmer or colder depending on which way you go. So just using little strokes, little curly type strokes with a fan brush. You could use a number 3 fan or a number 6 fan, it doesn't really matter. I'm just creating some cloud shapes, putting this dark colour in. You could do them any shape that you wanted. I'm thinking about skies that I've seen, skies that I've painted, skies that I've seen in pictures. I tend to use all kinds of ideas when I do my paintings. Think about the skies that I've painted when I've been out with my paints. I really enjoy getting out in nature with my paints and doing a painting. It's so much fun, and it's a good way to learn new skies for your paintings, because you're you're seeing new things and you're painting it, and then you can think, oh, now I can use that idea in my next painting when I'm back in the studio. So using a bit of titanium white and a bit of bright red. So I put a little bit of bright red in with the white because it makes it a little bit warmer. If you just use pure white, it's a bit cold. So a little bit of red will just warm it up for you. Now quite a lot of paint on the fan brush. I'm thinking, see how I sort of warmed my arm up as I went towards it. I was thinking curly strokes, round strokes, to get that roundness, that fluffiness of the cloud. And I was also thinking about the silver lining as well. Every cloud has a silver lining. So that's what I was thinking when I was doing these clouds. Because when I was driving home, I noticed all the clouds, they had silver linings. I was like, well, I want silver linings in my painting. So here we go. I thought I'd go for it. Remember, like these curly type strokes. They're fun to do. I enjoy doing clouds. I'm going to do a painting where it's just full of clouds. Just clouds and clouds and layers of them. So I'm using the 1-inch brush just to blend the white and the darker colour of the cloud. Just and lifting it up there as well. If you don't like using the 2-inch brush, the 1-inch brush will do the same sort of thing. It's just a bit smaller, get a bit more control, I suppose. I'm a fan of that 2-inch brush. I really enjoy the 2-inch brush. I actually want to get an even bigger one. I know Bob Ross used a 2.5-inch brush when he first started doing the shows, so I'm interested in one of them. I like the 2-inch brush. 2.5-inch brush. God, I could do paintings in half an inch quicker. So I'm just using the corner of the brush there, round, thinking round. Just going la-di-la-di-la-di-la, curly, 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 and then get the 2-inch brush going again. I really like the 2-inch brush. I like using these big brushes to do paintings, because I do paintings with little brushes sometimes as well. And that's fun to do as well. Using the big brush, it's quite freeing. So then just put in another cloud in front of that cloud. Add in another layer. Quick blend at the base and then not too much. Don't want to blend it too much because then it just becomes a bit of a mush. Then I dotted in a bit more white for some reason. I don't know why I did that. Must have been thinking about another cloud. I just stirred it up a little bit. Yeah, it's good fun using the black gesso to create your shapes. I've got a few ideas coming up soon that I'm sure you'll like. I won't tell you about them though, 'cause they're a secret. But the clue is I will be using some black gesso and actually some white gesso as well to make it grey. So I've created some mountain colour using the black and the Prussian blue and a bit of white because I didn't want it too dark. So I'm just following those guidelines I left for myself and putting some mountain shapes in there. I'm using a knife, landscape knife, pressing quite hard and then scraping off the excess paint. A tiny roll of paint there. There we go. Scrape. And get mountain shapes. You scrape off that excess paint because it makes the next layer easier to stick. You actually don't need that much paint on there, just enough to stain the canvas. Then using the 1-inch brush, start pulling down the shapes. Pulling it down. Give you another go at thinking about the shape of the mountain. Pulling down. You could turn these, if you didn't want mountains, you could have hills in the background. You could even leave it as it is, and then you could start putting your layers in front. It makes it a little bit softer, maybe, a little bit more distant. I wanted to practice my mountains, so I've got some white and a little bit of red. A tiny roll of paint. No pressure, remember, no pressure. Very light. Think light thoughts. Think soft thoughts when you're doing that. You don't want to be thinking tough, strong thoughts, because then the paint won't break for you. You want to be thinking quiet, soft. Shum. You feel the paint. You feel the tug of the paint as you pull. As you pull down along the mountain. And just create your mountain any way you want them to be. I'm just making these up, really. Now I'm making a blue and white mixture, blue, white and the mountain mixture, making our shadow colour. Tiny roll of paint again, and very lightly, thinking shadow side, very light pressure. I haven't really got enough paint on there. I didn't want too much though, because this is background material. We don't want too much on there. You don't see that much because it's quite far away. Anyway, you want a bit of a ridge, you just put a bit of your shadow colour in. It's amazing how things happen like that. Things start taking shape. And you start seeing shapes in the mountain, and you can change it. I'm just wiping the knife, ready for the next bit. Just cleaning up these edges. More of the light colour. Giving it a bit more mountainy shapes. Anywhere where we feel there could be a bit more light, we can add it in. You could even add in a really dull colour, just slightly lighter than the mountain mixture, and that would make it a little bit more detailed. You don't always have to do like snowy looking mountains. You can do rocky mountains. In fact, if you like doing Rocky Mountains, you'll enjoy the episode that's coming up. Unless this video has been on a while, it's already up. I've had a lot of fun recently with these paints, and hopefully you enjoy these episodes, because I'm really enjoying making them. Doing this style of painting, it's always been something I've really enjoyed. I just really enjoy it. I feel at the moment I'm enjoying it the most that I've ever done. Because I've learnt a lot more about art over the years, and just you just change as a person as well. As you get older, you change. You think differently. You enjoy things more. I don't feel like I have to please anybody. I don't feel like I need to please anybody when I do this. I'm just enjoying it, and hopefully other people are watching and enjoying it as well, and that's all I want, really. And if you learn something, then it's an added bonus. And if you do a painting and you're happy, then that's great, isn't it? Actually, when we're talking about what you enjoy, when I first started painting, my aim was to get to the point where people start asking for you to do commissions, like, oh, will you paint my dog, will you paint my cat, blah blah blah, will you paint me, will you paint a landscape for me, will you do this, will you do that? And that was my aim. And then when you start doing that, you start thinking, oh, damn it, I've got to paint their dog. I'd rather be painting a landscape or getting out and having fun with my paints, but I can't because I need to paint this. And it's kind of a funny thing. So at the moment, I'm just doing what I want. I'm forgetting everything else, and I'm just enjoying myself. So I'm using a man mixture and put some sap green in there. And I haven't done it too dark. So look at these trees, they're not too dark, they're still quite light. I'm saving that darkness. I want those trees to be quite far, I don't want them to be too close yet, so I don't want the trees to be too dark. Simple, isn't it? It's quite easy. When things are further away, you can make them look further away by making them light. You just think about the atmosphere in front of them. Maybe there's like a misty area in front, so it's affecting the how dark they are. These little trees, they're so fun to do. Just pulling down all different heights, and it looks fantastic. People that have never painted, they'll look at your painting if you do this sort of thing, and they'll be amazed. They'll be telling you how talented you are. That always makes me laugh, actually, when people say, oh, you're so talented. God, you are amazing. If only they knew, eh? If only they knew how fast that I'm throwing in these trees. We won't tell them. We'll keep it our secret. Call it painter's secret. We'll let them think we're talented. Don't want to ruin that illusion, especially if you want to sell them a painting. Like anything though, it's just practice, and the more you practice, the better you get at it. The more you study, the better you get. the more you watch other people painting, I find this actually, the more I watch other people painting, the more little tips I've got from them. It's improved my painting no end. So I'm making a grassy colour using a bit of yellow ochre, Indian yellow, cadmium yellow, and that mountain mix. And look how I push the bristles. You push the bristles into the paint so you get a bit of a ridge of colour on your paint. And then you just tap the paint on. Tappy tappy tap tap tap. And it's fantastic just tapping it on, getting this grassy area. And the reason I tapped in that mist, you can see now the separation between the trees and the grass. It works so well. So we're just tapping in some grass. Think of the angles of the land. Always thinking of the lay of the land. Something I used to do a lot of real big hills when I was teaching. When I was teaching this style of painting, I do a lot of big hills. And someone commented once. They said, "You always do a lot of big hills." This chap said. And I stood back, looked at my picture, and there's this great big hill there, and I was like, oh yeah, never actually noticed. I was just having fun. And then as you walk around the class and you look at their paintings and you think, oh, everyone else has put in a big hill. Yeah, it's amusing. I didn't notice I was doing big hills all the time. So here we go, got a little waterfall going. A little bit of white that is on the fan brush, a little bit of white and a little tiny bit of blue. I love doing that. It's great, isn't it? Just do one or two strokes, thinking about the water going over. It's quite easy. I think the way the way you can mess it up, and I say this because I've messed these things up a lot. I'm a slow learner, so it takes me a few goes. It takes me a lot of practice to get good, or okay anyway. I'm still improving, so I don't want to say I'm good yet. Just think I'm alright. So, oh yeah, here we go again. There's another one. I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have one real bigger one just going down there. Splash. Splash, splash, splash. Yeah, the way you can mess that up is where you do too many strokes. You go over it and over it and over it, and then you've just got a white block. And you don't see the movement then. You have to be able to see the movement. And I say that because that's how I used to do it. A horrible white block. And nobody would say, oh, well, oh yeah, I like that. They would just sort of look at it and go, why is there a white block there? Well, it's my waterfall. You've got to start somewhere, though, haven't you? You've got to make the mistakes, and then learn from it. I like putting these wiggly lines in. See these wiggly lines? I like doing that. It gives the water a bit of movement, especially when it goes up against the sides. Splash, splash, splash. Yeah, I really like doing water. On the black canvases, water works so well. It really does. So I got a little bit more white on my brush there. I just pushed up to create a bit more of a lighter splash on there. So I'm thinking, oh, better put that tree in before I forget. So I'm grabbing some of the black. Some of the black. And I put a little bit of sap green in that as well. You couldn't see that. I did put a bit of sap green in. And then using the corner of the brush, just pushing down. And then the further down I get, the more pressure I put on the brush. And then you start creating these branch type shapes. I'm only using the number 3 fan brush, which is quite small really, and I forgot to switch to the number 6, but it doesn't matter, they all work. So just using the corner, putting another tree, there'll be 2 trees, and then I thought to myself, maybe there's another one. So there's one tree behind the other now. This tree all there on its own. Getting a little bit of Van Dyke brown and dark sienna. Cutting off a little roll of paint to put in a little tree trunk just there. And I thought to myself, maybe there's a tree there as well. Or maybe there's one behind. And then just a little bit of a whoop where the tree trunks are. And then just a little bit of the corner of the brush there. Putting the indication of a few little bit of a tree. So we've got a few trees there all together. There's none of the trees anywhere else apart from in the background. They can't grow anywhere else. They can only grow in that spot. I don't know why. So I'm getting using my dirty brush, I'm just picking up some cad yellow. And it's going to be our highlight for these trees. Thinking about the light coming from the right side. So most of the highlights are going to be on that side. That little bit of the highlight. God, it just makes all the difference, doesn't it? It really does. It's amazing how dark trees are. When you're out, if you get a chance, if you feel adventurous and you want to go out painting out there in the wilderness, out in the woods or wherever, you start to realise how dark some the trees are. I mean, really dark. So I'm getting some Van Dyke brown and dark sienna. I'm going to start putting in some land, some mud or dirt or rock or whatever you want it to be. I just need to shore up this because I don't want those trees to fall into the water, and so I need to start putting in some indications of land, and then I can push that waterfall back with some rock. Let's say this is all rock. I'm putting it on quite thick, and the Van Dyke brown is quite a thick colour, so a thick, dry colour. I find the Van Dyke brown is probably the thickest that I've got out of all the colours, and it works well. The white's quite thick as well, actually. So we're just holding this water in now. Thinking about this water needs to be held in by something. So we'll hold it in by this, and then put a few rocks in the water for fun. So you could put these rocks in first if you want, and then put the water in afterwards. It's up to you. Like I said, I'm making this up as I go along, so things just happen in the order that they happen. But maybe you can be a bit more organised when you do yours. Now I'm going to make a lighter colour, using a bit of white in with that black, in with the brown, a bit of green as well. Throw it in. Cut across, a little roll of paint. Brown, green. Took me a while until I was okay with the colour. Kept thinking, it's not quite right, it's not quite right. Put a little bit of the blue in, and then I was happy. So I'm thinking about the sky. They're very light pressure. Just pull down and let the paint take a little bit of highlight. You just have to think how much light is going to hit areas, and then those areas do first, and then as you've got less paint on the knife, you can do other areas. But you keep the paint marbly when you're mixing it, because then you get all different colours coming off the knife. It's very light there. Notice I'm using the detail knife now. Very light pressure. Just thinking of the rock shape. And whatever angle you pull that knife down, that's the angle that it'll look like. So no pressure, remember, no pressure. So there's a bit more light on that side, because that's where the light's hitting, coming from the right to left. Isn't that fantastic? We haven't really been painting that long, and we've already got quite a lot going already. So using the 1-inch brush, grabbing all the greens, we're just going to clean up the area. Thinking about the light hitting this side a bit more. Always think about where your light's coming from. It's really important. It'll make your painting that little bit better because you're thinking of it. I'm putting in a few little grassy areas on the top there, hangy downs. Thinking about the lay of the land as always, and that sticks on top of that brown easily because that brown's so dry and dark. And the yellows are thinner, because remember, a thin paint will stick to a thicker, drier paint. So using a little bit of liquid white, dipping a little bit of liquid white. I'm picking brushes up because I was putting them on this paper towel. There we go, a little bit of the liquid white, and then into the white and blue. And what we can do then is we can go over this brown. Watch this. It's a very light splash, and we're over it, coming round it. bringing that water around it, and it sticks on top of the brown. If you get any of the brown mixed in with the white, all I do is I tend to wipe my brush and then I keep going again. So I'm thinking of all the water splashing on the rocks that are around. There's that water coming out and splash on the rock. Maybe the water goes on top of the rock as well. And then thinking there as well. But you have to try not to overdo it. I'm really having fun splashing the water around here, but you don't want to get it to the point where it's just the whole thing's white. No whitewater rafting down this bit. You want some of the dark areas, otherwise the white doesn't make. There's no reason for it, is there? If it's just all white, you need light and dark. But it is fun. If you overdo it, just scrape it off and start again. Do it again, because it's fun. There we go, this water's all pouring out there. And there we go, look, some of it went over the rock and straight down. It's that point where I need to stop. You have to be kind of strict with yourself because you start having fun, enjoying yourself, and you can overdo it. It's so easy. So you've got to go right. Stop. So just getting some dark on the 1-inch brush, just pulling down, like that. Look, your brush is almost right angle. Just pull down and then turn it the other way like that, and then press. We'll create some like bushes there. Maybe some bushes down here as well. And put them on in front of the water, send the water back, contain it. There we go. And that contains all that water. So I'm just putting some dark. Apologies for this side of the painting. This angle, I should say. The colours are all off. It's an old video camera, that one. I need to have a video camera upgrade, really. But they're okay for now. So I'm just using some dark just to put in the tree shapes. These trees are in front of all this. They're further forward. So now we've got a lot of layers again. So you can almost imagine yourself stepping out, walking around this pool, walking up towards the mountain. You can really see it all. So dipping into some liquid white and then going into the yellow, cadmium yellow, Indian yellow, yellow ochre. Just pulling, and you create these little bushes. You see that bush shape that keeps appearing? It's that green. You get one of those on your brush. That's why. and then you turn it around and straight on, light pressure, touch and push up a little bit. Look at that nice lacy bush. So another thing that I couldn't do at first. I tried and tried and tried, and I just couldn't do it, and I was blaming my brush. So this brush doesn't work. I can't do it because the brush is wrong. And when I was so I learnt to be a CRI, and I went for this class, and this the teacher there, the Dowell, he walked around, and I said to him about the brush that I was using, as it didn't work, and he had a go, and he did the perfect bush that I've ever seen, and I was like, oh. But then afterwards he did say that brush wasn't as good as the others, but he still made it work. So it just shows, you know, the materials help, but the materials are not always needed. A great artist, they can use anything. So I'm grabbing some red, yellow, making sort of an orangey colour. Let's think orange. Warm. Let's add some warmth to this painting. Using the corner of the brush. Just tappy tappy tap tap tap. Thinking of all the leaf shapes. The different branches in trees. For some reason I forgot to use the corner of the brush when I was doing that. I started using the whole brush. You know when you wish you could... I think I started realising... Sometimes I wish I could shout at the screen and say, "Oi, corner of the brush, stop using the whole brush." Yeah, I'm using the corner again. Use the corner, it's much better, it gets a better effect. I am learning still, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get better. I correct it, look. I was like, why didn't I use the corner? What was I thinking? So anywhere that I thought didn't look quite right, I thought I'll just do a little bit more. Get a bit more red. I think I've overdone that side a bit. I don't know. I quite like it. Bit more red on this side. Thinking of the shapes. I do like that colour actually. It does make the painting much nicer with that orangey colour. Kind of breaks things up a bit. I'm enjoying it. I can't stop. I'm like, bit more, bit more, bit more. But you don't overdo. You want to make sure there is some dark left. Because you always get dark in amongst the trees. And I grab a liner brush. Using the liner brush and some use a little bit of, you can use a little bit of medium, either a little bit of linseed oil, a little bit of liquid clear, a little bit of paint thinner. You could even use a little bit of liquid white. You just want the paint to be thin so you can put these little branches. wherever you want these branches, you just put them in. Just wiggle them out your brush. They're there waiting to be wiggled out. You can put them in before you do the highlights if you want. It doesn't really matter, I don't find. I like doing these. It's fun using the liner brush. I enjoy it. In fact, at the moment, it's all the trees are losing their leaves, so you can see all the branches again. In the summer, when all the leaves are there, you forget how many branches there are because it's just covered in leaves. You see how much better it looks now there's a few branches there. Actually, it looks like there's trees there. And you can really go for it with these. You can really put lots on. And then start putting a bit more colour on. A bit more red there on those bits. Add a little bit more here and there. Just pushes the branches back in the picture. You don't have to do that though. It's just a personal thing. You can have lots of layers of branches. You can do whatever you want. You could have different coloured branches. I see a lot of different coloured branches when I look out there. Some green, some brown, some yellow, some white even. All kinds of colours. And then you get different shades depending if it's wet as well. They go really dark. You can do whatever you like. So I'm grabbing some white in with my red to make a light colour, and some dark sienna. I start putting in some like little sticks down here in the dark areas, just to make this area a little bit more interesting. But it I never actually liked this bit. It was missing something at the foreground, I felt. And then I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. Land. It's not got any land there, it's just, a mass of bushes. So I thought, I'll break it up a little bit with some land. And I prefer that much better. Shows you can change it. If you have an idea, you can just change it. Simple as that. A little bit of a highlight on top of that. And I like to be able to change things. Gives you the freedom. Freedom. And I was just adding a little bit of yellow there. A little bit of reddish into the yellow. Just to warm areas up, and then just using the brush there just to tap in a little bit of grassy area. So there we go, we're almost finished. Putting all kinds of little branches and things down here. Thinking, oh, I could have maybe there's some little trees growing there. Once I get painting, I start thinking of all kinds of things. I thought, oh yeah, what if there's some little trees just growing, little saplings, and they've got some like little red leaves on. Just warms that area of the picture up, and it kind of brings a touch of unity into it as well. This is a really nice painting to practice. Even if you never painted before, you could do this one. A little bit of time put aside, you could do this. So there's the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was great fun for me to paint, and thanks very much for watching. There's going to be some more episodes coming up, especially if you like mountains. But there's a lot more episodes coming up. I've got a lot of ideas, and thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you at another one. Cheers, bye.